We're going to be covering so much. I set a timer so that I wouldn't be wasting any of your time. So we're going to make sure this is done before that's done. And I've got my notes down here in front of me. Here's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to give you my background, that I own White Label Extensions. Over 10,000 plus businesses are I service, my company services. So when I tell you that I know what I'm talking about, I definitely do. We're going to be talking about why the hair extensions industry is so attractive, because once you hit your pace, once you find that space that you fit in, it is so easy. And yes, I am saying easy to hit a 6-figure year. I'm going to break down the math. I'm going to break it down and you're going to be like, wow. I had no idea. Seriously, stick with me. I want to talk about the vendor struggle. Okay, so if you have a quarantini, you want to sip like that is going to be the time to go ahead and do that. If you want to go ahead and start rolling up in lieu of where we're going to get to that point, because honey, when I tell you the struggle is real and it does not stop, it is real and it does not stop. Okay, so we're going to cover that. We're going to be covering what I'm going to be doing to shift my business in response to the world and the industry, and next steps for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in. I own White Label Extensions. It's a company that I built not just to be a wholesale hair supplier, but I built it primarily to help teach the people that consume hair extensions most, Black women, how to do business. Thinking that if we start with a product that you know at least half a dozen people are consuming, if we start with a product you know is in demand and you can build out a business around that and then take those skills to whatever industry that you can, like that is how you spark a fire that will change a family, change generations, change communities. So all of what I do is rooted in the notion of leaving the world a better place. And that's why I created White Label Extensions, to help all of you guys that are interested in getting in the hair industry find a safe place to do that. So first off, let me tell you why the hair extensions industry is such an attractive space. Like one of the big excuses that people make when talking about starting a hair extensions business is that everyone is doing it. New entrepreneurs would think that's a bad thing. Experienced entrepreneurs that understand that marketing is everything, and if you can outmarket your competitors, you win regardless of how many people are selling your product. Like, that excites me. I loved the fact that so many people were in the hair extensions industry when I started. Why? Because that proved there was a demand for the actual product. And if I could just figure out a unique way of presenting that product to my audience, then I would win. And that is the same thing that happens with everyone in the hair extensions industry. I mean, think about the people that you know in your circle. How many people do you have worn hair extensions at least once? Literally all of them. At least try to, even if they're shaved bald, they've at least glued, sewed, slid on something at one point or another in the past. That means pretty much every single woman or man, some men that you know are customers of this product that you would like to bring to market. And they are going to be willing to give you a chance. If you can show up and deliver the product and deliver the quality, then that means you have it. And so I say all of that. I know I'm getting off topic. We don't have that time. But I say all of that to say, once you hit your groove, it is so easy to make money. It only took me 67 days, I believe it was, to make over $100,000 selling hair extensions. Now, let me break down the math for you. If 6 figures, and I have it written down here, but if a 6-figure business was your goal, that would mean that at an average of $200 a product, you would need to make 500 sales, right? If you are making 500 sales, I know that seems like a lot, but break that down over 12 months. That means you would have to make about 42 sales each month. Okay? If you're not even started yet, you're like, well, how am I going to make hold on one second, sis. I got you. I got you. So we're talking about 42 sales a month. Let's break that down even further. Why? Because when you have a big goal, it can seem so daunting. But if you break that down into bite-sized pieces, it's totally manageable. Anything seems doable. Okay? So we're going to break those 42 sales down over the course of a month. What does that mean? That means each week, all you need to do is make 10 sales. And to make those 10 sales, all you need to do is make 1 to 2 sales each day. That's it. That's you showing up on your Instagram. That's you responding to people that have opted into your email list. That's you having conversations and hanging out online in the places that you know your MVP's most valuable payers are hanging out. That's what that looks like. 1 sale a day. That means earning 1 person. That means finding someone that's looking for what you are already offering. They already know this and they're already about that life. You can go on Instagram and see anyone that has hair over 12 inches long. They are your customer. Finding out where they hang out and building actual relationships, not fake friend relationships where you just try and use that person because people smell that a mile away, but actually being invested in what these people want, the outcome these people want. 1 sale a day is extremely doable. So doable that that plan I just laid out for you, 1 sale a day to hit 6 figures in a year, I was able to smash that goal and hit it in just 1 year. And you can do the same thing if this is a big if. And I think this is why so many people struggle in the hair extensions industry. If you can figure out your UIA, unique industry ad, your unique industry ad, okay? That is the special thing that you can bring to the market. If you are a churchgoer, then maybe it is Sunday service wigs, and that's like your unique thing that'll speak to a specific customer and allow you to scale dramatically because you are the only person speaking to that. For me, I was a news reporter before I became an entrepreneur, and I travel a lot, and so I figured I struggled finding actual footage of what a hair factory looked like. There was nothing. Like, this is 2017, 2018. There was nothing out there. And that was crazy to me. So I decided to fly to China because I love traveling. China's freaking dope. I flew to China and I toured a bunch of factories, and I decided to videotape one of the factories that I knew I wouldn't be working with, because I know y'all like doing your little research. I'm proud of you. That's exactly what you should be doing. But I decided to film one of the factories I wouldn't be working with just to walk you through it. And that piece of video alone has made me lots of... Why? Because I did something no one else was doing. And I know that seems like a lot, flying to China and doing the research to even figure out where to freaking go. It was a lot. But on a different scale, my first hair extensions company, the reason why I started White Label Extensions was because I couldn't find a reliable supplier. I couldn't find them. I started one of the first hair extensions businesses in a state with one of my best friends. And we made $1,000 within our first week of launching. And it wasn't like we did this big special launch or anything like that. It was just, we just started existing. And because we were the only person in that area that spoke to this city, just this city, we got business. So it doesn't have to be you flying out there and doing all the most. It doesn't have to be you only selling blue wigs, but that, I just thought of that, and that is a really good idea. If you could master like the kind of dye that takes the best and the kind of blue that'll show up, the people will pay freaking money. And it is as simple as you sitting down and thinking, what isn't out there? What isn't out, and it's not just what isn't out there for anybody, what isn't out there for this community. So another example, the girl that created Color, we don't have the time. So, but look her up on Instagram or Google her, but she creates these phenomenal color designs. if you could do that in your city, even though it's already being done by her and a few other people that are really phenomenal with it, but she created a hair dye line behind it, which I am like, yes, as an entrepreneur, that's how you freaking do it. But if you could be the person that offers special hair coloring and stuff for wigs in your area, you will stand out. Just figure out a way to stand out and you will. If it's church, if it's wig coloring, if it's wigs for moms that have like the band already attached and they're already bleached and the baby hairs are already laid and all they need to do is slip it on because they don't have the mother effing time. Sis, that's money in the bank. And I think that is one of the big things that I left out is, yes, you can make money by just being like everyone else, but it is going to be a lot harder than if you figure out a way to enter the market leading with something unique. If that is wigs for professional women, if that is like 6-figure wigs for only entrepreneurs, it will work. It will work better than you being like, I have bundles too. Okay? So, moving forward, all right? Vendor struggle. My tequila's in the other room. But go ahead and spark up, sip up. Let me just tell you about, and this is coming from someone that actually flies to China very regularly. Why? Because after a certain point, and any entrepreneur will tell you, anybody that has employees will tell you, after a certain point, you have to show up and put your foot in the gas. You have to do it. People get comfortable. They start thinking you're friends when you're paying them. Clearly. The reason I started White Label Extensions was because I had a great relation, did all the sample orders, did the whole like initial vendor struggle thing, shopped around, finally found a really great supplier, really high quality, super great consistency, and really phenomenal communication. Those things are, 3 things are key. Like, write that down if you're still in the vendor search. So things are going good, but like I said, $1,000 first week, and things only go up from there, which would be a good thing, except how are you going to run out of 16-inch wigs? How does that happen? And it was just like, this doesn't make sense to me. Whenever we start picking up, you're supposed to be So I decided to fly over there, build relationships with actual factories. Like, no, I know you scheduled a visit at a factory at this one place, but I'm actually here at the airport. Come through. Let's hang out. Like, that's literally what it looks like, because they will lie to you to your face, even when you're in China. It's so freaking crazy. Another conversation. Now, just like giving you a background, when you do show up, you beat out every other person that has only ever texted them on WhatsApp. If someone has texted them on WhatsApp and spent more money, you might not be a priority. But even if you're just getting started and you can't like match someone's $50,000 a month sales, they're still going to give you just as much priority as they would this person that's giving them money, because you took the time to travel there. That's why I travel there. So I just be like, hi, pop up. Hey, I'm yes, come through. You know, the last few weeks, those orders you were slipping on. Let's go ahead and do a walkthrough and see what the issue. Like, whenever I do eventually have kids, I feel sorry for every time I have to actually show up at the office, because honey. So that being said, even when you have these established relationships, especially when you have these established relationships, what you get is transparency in what is actually going on. Instead of someone leading you on and being like, oh yeah, I said I was going to ship that. Oh yeah, I said I was going to ship that. It's like, hey, there's something. Here's the timeline leading up to now. It wasn't even, no, I think it was October. Last October, our factory partners start telling us that there is a raw materials shortage, meaning anything over 18 inches is going to either cost more or going to be less quality at the price you've been getting it. Why? Not because anyone's trying to play you, but because this is something run out of people's heads. There's no GMO that, maybe there is GMO that you can spray, maybe some castor oil or something, just have these girls in there massaging their scalps. But either way, it takes years to grow inches of hair. When there's that kind of shortage, there's literally nothing that you can do about it, except find someone that has stocked up on enough of this product before the shortage. Okay, so that's laying the groundwork. October, there's like whispers that there's going to be this massive material shortage. December, there is a shortage, and not just that, there's something going on, and some factories are having to reduce their services. Okay. February rolls around. Everyone that is a hair supplier kind of dreads this time of year. It's when China literally shuts down for weeks. It's crazy to think about in like American culture, where there are no days. You literally work on Thanksgiving and you work on Christmas Eve, and anything else is, so the fact that literally no planes fly out of the entire country of China for 2 weeks. It is a forced holiday. You ain't you're not working. So as you would understand, that disrupts a lot of things. While we store lots of inventory, not being able to, like when we hit a stock level low alert, not being able to replenish that with like our weekly inventory, not being able to do that after 2 weeks, it's a struggle. But here's the thing, in 2020, randomly, first time, the holiday's been extended a couple of weeks. Do we know when it's going to end? No, I think it was for 5 weeks. So we planned on logging as much as we could to make sure that we were covered for the 2 weeks plus the delayed shipping, because all of these companies are now trying to catch up on all of their orders. Okay. Are you following me? Okay. So 5 weeks, then they're finally coming back. But here's the thing. Most of the factories aren't legally allowed to come back because there are still some provinces that are closed. And we find out after the fact that the reason these places were closed is because of COVID. Okay, so we talked about the hair shortage. We talked about the entry of that's COVID in China. Okay, so then we end up catching COVID over here in the States, in addition to the supply shortage. Okay, but here's the thing: all lace products, the majority of the country that does lace best is South Korea. The country that does bundles best and has like the cleanest production facilities is China. China sources hair from all over China and from India and from other places, never really Brazil. Now we are all dealing with no planes coming in, no planes were flying out of China, nothing is leaving Korea. So not only do we have a raw material shortage, making any hair over 16 inches very, very too valuable. We also have COVID closing down businesses. Our fulfillment center in the Bay Area has been shut by law. Like you can go to jail if you're out here trying to flip bundles since March. Just notification on Monday. Hey, something weird's going on. And then come Friday, what happens? You are no longer allowed to leave your house, or you might go to it's a lot. It is a lot. And that's the thing when you're dealing with raw materials, when you're dealing with something that just can't be mass manufactured overnight, like hair extensions. And I think that's one of the things that you should be aware of before you invest in this space, is even if you have the best supplier in the world, there's nothing they can do about the fact that there is no long hair except eat their vitamins and hope that in the 10 years it takes them, like seriously, y'all, serious. And I'm not trying to say it seems like it's kind of personal to some of my clients. It's like, y'all, there's nothing we can do. We have relationships with factory after factory after factory, and we can verify anything any one of them is telling us within 2 minutes because we have these relationships with other people that are living it. So that's what's happening right now. All right. Okay. So what are we doing? I know it's a lot. It's a lot, but if you have a great supplier, you don't have to worry about that. I'm a wholesaler. It's my job to worry about it. People don't understand, like, well, why should I go with? Because you would have to be dealing with this every time something comes up. And believe it or not, there's always something that comes up. And you're like, well, why don't you outsource it? The last couple times I tried to have an employee, it cost me so much free, tens of thousands of dollars within days. I'm not okay. So piping hot, I told you. So what am I doing? Let me calm down. I'm so turned up right now. I'm sorry, y'all. So what am I doing in response to all of that? Rebuilding from the ground up. I'm doing a business audit. Which is where I get back in the trenches, where I see every single email coming in, where I monitor the process of fulfilling every single order that comes in, where I monitor the communication that happens between this point, that point, and every single thing. And I want you guys to come on the journey with me because it's pretty much like I'm rebuilding this company from the ground up. Thrilled. Can you tell? But what does that mean? We're actually moving to Shopify. So I'm going to be building a website with you. We definitely are switching up our fulfillment process. We are limiting our inventory. It's all of the things. And I'm taking you guys on the journey with me. Yes, Money Monday, but I'm just going to be posting these videos as I go because it just needs to get done. So make sure that you hit subscribe so that you don't miss any of these updates. And not just that, let me try and say this without crying. Okay, so before I do that, because I know I'm not going to get through it without crying. If you are super interested in the hair extensions industry, check out hairbossmasterclass.com. That is my full program. It covers everything you need, every single thing you need to know, including if you want to fly to China, I cover all of that in there. And then if that may or may not be your thing, I do weekly business coaching. Anyone interested in my mentorship program, just head to charlotgreen.com/society. It's my CEO society. It's an exclusive business mentoring program. Okay, so there's the plug. So, like the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and just so many people, the injustice that has been exposed again and again and again. If you know anything about me, you know that I'm an activist first. It's why I build, I could build a business around anything and make a ton of freaking money that would take less of my energy, that wouldn't require me to do all the show. But the reason why I chose to do this in the first place was because I knew that, and I know that if we want change, we have to have political capital. We have to have something of value that matters to the people that are making the decisions. And the only way that we get that you and me get that, coming from where we come from, is if we show up with what they understand, which is dollars and cents. That's why I decided to put everything into building a company to help Black women. Like the pillars in the home, the single moms that need it most. Like mine, because could have used. But after seeing everything play out in the news, like when you think about every single person it took to get you here. I'm Nigerian. I know that my mom struggled. I know that my grandma, but they're Nigerian. If you're Black, if you are the descendant of slaves, do you know how much sacrifice how much work it took to get you here where you have the choice to live your life this way. You actually have options. You have options. And for me to not show up to show you that, to make sure that you are upholding the legacy that it took to get you, it didn't take all of that blood, sweat, and tears to get you here to work a 9-to-5 and a struggle when you don't have to. There is nothing wrong with working a 9-to-5. But if you feel like you were meant for more, if you feel like you were called to do more, if you feel like you were meant to create something that is going to last generations, then I get you. I feel you, and you are right. You are right. And it's my job to show up here and just give you the tools to teach you, to share my stories, help you learn from my experiences so that you don't have to waste time or energy or money making the same mistakes that I did. That's my job. I just like thinking for weeks, what can I do? What you've been doing, but you've been slacking, but you've been letting down your community. So not anymore. That's just what it comes down to. Because the difference is life and death for a lot of us. I think it was for me. So I really didn't want to cry. I put on so much makeup. But what I can say is this. We're going to build together. We are going to build together. I'm going to take you guys on the journey with me as I rebuild White Label Extensions, #1 Black-owned hair supplier in the nation. Yes, ma'am. I'm going to take you guys with me on the journey of me building my makeup company from scratch. I am so excited about this. Like, I showed you guys how to build a hustle real quick. This, I am building a brand that I want to last for generations, and a brand that is all me, all the bougie, classy, hella ratchet, all that rolled into one. That's what I want to build. And I want to take you guys on the journey with me. So, therapy session. Oh yes. And then one last major thing is, as much as I love what I do in the hair space, as important as I know that is, I also know that not everyone is meant to sell hair. Not most people. Most people aren't meant to sell hair. So while a portion of my content is going to be dedicated to hair bosses only and anyone else that wants to watch, the rest of my content is going to be geared toward entrepreneurs in any industry, in any field, talking about marketing strategies that work across the board, talking about things that you need to know legally across the board, regardless of what space you're like. All of that stuff is what I'm going to be rolling out for you. Yeah. So subscribe. I love you guys.